Today, June 15th, marks 3 years since I moved down to Orlando. In honor of that, I figured it was time to give an in-depth answer to a question I see quite a lot online. Is it worth moving closer to Disney World? There's a lot that goes into this decision, and there isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all answer, as everyone's situation is different. For me personally, it has absolutely positively been worthwhile. I get to experience all the little additions to the parks that I have never had the time for as a tourist, and that goes for Universal as well as Disney. However, being a permanent Orlando resident means you get the perks of living near the parks, and everything that goes with it. And depending on where you are in life, it can also be a very drastic change. Part of that change can even be growing used to visiting the parks a lot unless you stop going as often. Allowing yourself to reach that point really begs the question of if it was actually worth uprooting everything to move down here in the first place. So instead of a yes you should or no you shouldn't, or I get to go to the parks every week and you can too, I decided to get some insight on what led me to moving down and staying in Orlando. When I initially was making the decision to move down to Orlando, I had just graduated college a few months earlier during the pandemic and couldn't secure a full-time position in my field. For anyone that didn't have to deal with finding a job during that time, it was insanely rough for that first year after lockdowns, as companies wanted to fill the higher level positions that had been vacated during the initial months of the pandemic. And that's when opportunity came knocking for me. I was on a dead-end internship when Disney opened the first post-COVID round of applications for the Disney College program, and I applied that very first night. My plan might sound familiar to other young adults. Use the college program to springboard my way into a Disney professional internship. From there, hopefully a full-time position, but baby steps. 2 days later, I received an acceptance letter and was moving to Disney's brand new dorm housing, Flamingo Crossings Village. I immediately put in my 2 weeks notice, and on June 15th, 2021, I moved down to Florida as a Disney College program participant. I was on the program for about 4.5 months before I got an interview for a professional internship, which I was then accepted into. A few weeks later, I started dating my future wife, so it was a really good way to lead out the year. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's not really moving down there though. And you'd be right. Which is why, after using my professional internship to secure a full-time position in my field, I took up official residence in Florida. By this time, I was happily engaged to my future bride. Just to make sure I'm not being too subtle, the job and my fiance were why I stayed in Orlando after my program. That's not to say I didn't give things up to stay down here though. At the time, all my family was back home. It was honestly just as rough to leave home to move down to Orlando as it was when I was just going to be on the college program. There's been lots of pros and cons. The biggest pro being that I'm near Disney World, which is where I've always seen myself ending up. But it's very costly to live somewhere nice down here. All those little factors of life that you don't usually have to worry about on vacation, housing, car, food, bills, etc., are massive concerns when you're actually living down here. I don't have kids, so all I can really say is to do a massive amount of research in the area you want to live in before you lock your kids into a bad school. But for everything else, I can honestly tell you that you have to be prepared to not live like you're on vacation, because that's incredibly easy to do. It's actually why I'm grateful I was at Disney for a year before moving down. It allowed me to get the remnant vacation mode out of my system before fully committing to Orlando. I really hope this might have helped somebody deciding if they should move down to Orlando. It's such a frequent question, but being confined to a text box doesn't really allow the proper emotion of such a decision. This is absolutely not a choice you should make lightly, especially if you're not closer to my situation of just starting your professional career, as that's what allowed me to have the freedom to solidify my choice. Definitely let me know in the comments if this helped at all, or if you'd like to see more content like this. Interestingly enough, I had a completely different video prepared and ready to go for this week, but when I realized that today was 3 years since I initially moved down, it just seemed too perfect since Saturday is my usual upload day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!